Hello everyone, and welcome to So Many Games At a Time, a board game podcast where Evangelos and I talk about board games. And today we're going to do a top 20 about worker placement games, and also some other stuff in the beginning that we're going to talk about. But before we talk about anything else in general, has anything happened board game wise in your life recently, Evangelos?
Well,
it's been a while.
One of my most anticipated games finally arrived, which is the Cyberpunk board game. Really excited about that one.
Nice.
Already primed it, started to prime it, ready to paint it. Really excited.
I'm already super impressed that you immediately painted, because I
haven't painted yet. I just primed them. I haven't painted them yet, but it kind of forces you to do it, right? So if I prime it, it's like committed.
Yeah. And the idea is to play before it's fully painted, or?
Well, not if I prime it, I can't play it. Because after I paint it, I can play it. But if I prime it, I can't play it because everything's going to be grey.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I had that problem yesterday. There were friends over and they saw Marvel Zombies. And I said, "Oh, we can't play." "What do you mean we can't play?" I said, "No, I primed it all. Everything is black." So only two of them are colored. So I painted. So it doesn't really work. Yeah. I have some bad news as well. My laptop still has not arrived, and because it's so difficult to edit, and both regular computers, Windows computers, are giving me such big headaches, that I have decided I'm not going to do any more videos for the channel until I get the MacBook, because it's just too annoying. I'm just going to do podcasts for now, right? Because that's the easiest way. That's quick, snappy. I don't want to sacrifice any time with my kids just because I have to deal with a crappy computer at school or whatever. So it's a shame, because there's like good games coming in and everything, but it's too bad. It's life. But
do you have an ETA for your laptop?
No, that's the annoying part about Apple. You just order and it'll say processing, and then they give you zero information. They just say, just wait until it goes to shipping, and you'll know it's coming. That's it. Wow. Basically it's like Blizzard in the video game industry. It's done when it's done. Don't ask us about it, So it's very annoying, but on the other hand, it does give me time to do other stuff. And there's still a podcast, so there's also that. So it's not that bad. And also good news, on the last podcast, I said that I was going to play Shadows in Kyoto. In the background, my daughter is coughing, but she's not that sick, but it's okay. Don't worry, people. Don't worry. I'm not neglecting them. But anyway, so I was going to play Shadows in Kyoto, and I also said it's like chess. It's not like chess. It's like Stratego, if people have played it before. But I did play it. I played it 3 times. In the box, so it's an S4 Emperor game. You play as the Oniban rebels or the government. And basically you have like 5 or 6 geishas, I forgot, and you're trying to get to the other side. Or, because on the geishas, on the back of them, there's a number, like 0, 1, 2, or 3. And 1 beats 0, 2 beats 1, 3 beats 2, but 0 beats 3. So, it's like a cycle, like a circle. Mm-hmm. But 2 of your agents, or your geishas, have a red dot. They have the crucial intelligence. You're trying to get those to the other side. The other ones have useless intelligence. But there's 3 ways that you can win or lose the game. You need to get one of your agents with intelligence to the other side, and then at the end, so then you win across the map. You also win if the other team captures 3 of your useless information agents, right? But you lose if the other team captures your 2 agents with the crucial information. Okay. So basically there's 2 ways to win and 1 way to lose, like that. But the cool part is, if the other person, for example, has captured 2 of your agents with useless information, you can then take one of your useless guys and try to attack them so they get captured. And then you win that way, for example. So there's like a lot of ways to do it. That's the basic game. But then we played a second or third time with the advanced rules, and then you get like special powers that you can use. Or if certain agents get killed, then you unlock a power that you can use once. And also when you're moving around, you either play a card that lets you move, or a tactic card which lets you move, do something special. Because normally you can only move forward You can forward or diagonally forward, but you can never move sideways or backwards. But then the tactic cards do let you do that. They also allow you to put down traps and stuff like that. So I don't know, it's a cool game. I really enjoyed it, even though most of the time I lose. Like now, I also lost twice. I only won once. But yeah, I really enjoy it. I think it's a cool game by Emperor S4 Games. But that was the challenge last time. I had to play it. It's a 2-player game, so that was fairly easy to get done. It didn't have a solo. That made it a little bit difficult, I guess. Now's the time to take a look at which game will be new. So I'm going to press randomize the new game. Mm-hmm. Oh, number 1. It's been featured a lot on the website on the YouTube channel already. It's Set a Watch Swords of the Coin, and number 2 was Jaws of the Lion. Number 3 was Volfirian Guilds, and number 4 was TI4, Twilight Imperium 4. So it's a good thing that didn't win. So Set a Watch, Sword of the Coin. Have you ever played Set a Watch?
No, I know. I read about it, but I haven't played it before because I don't own it.
And that's one that we could play because I think you'll enjoy that one.
Isn't it more of a solo game, though? Doesn't play better solo?
Better, yes, but it's like you could argue like the same thing with the detective games. If you play with more people, other people might see better solutions than like that.
It's like a tower defense in some way, right?
Yeah, you're like
there's hordes come towards you, right?
You have 4 adventurers. One will stay at the campsite. And the other 3 go out to fight the fight of the attack, basically. So the person at the campsite also has special powers, but then the other ones also have powers that you use, and you try to survive, basically. Okay. It's a good game. It was in my top 100. I don't know where, but I think fairly high. But
did you kickstart the expansions?
Yeah, instantly. That was a no-brainer. Yeah, for sure.
Is that because the game's really great, or is it because the expansions will make it better? Did you think that you can see more potential in the game?
For me, I'm going to be totally honest. I didn't even really. I think the expansion adds a campaign, if I'm not mistaken, but it's not even necessary for me. If it was just more the same, that's already fine for me already.
Okay, that's good.
That's and also they supply a box which brings everything nicely together. Which will look a lot beautiful. Yes, of course.
We all want that.
Be a lot prettier. But even Swords of the Coin, because originally I had Set a Watch, and then the second version was Swords of the Coin. That added a merchant with items and money and so on, which made it cooler. I wouldn't play without it, to be honest. So I am curious about the third one. And there's so much variety with the Kickstarter characters as well. So,
okay, cool.
So. Now, today we're not talking about one game or whatever, or Kickstarter or whatever. No, today we're talking about our first top 20 on here. We did do a top 100. You can check that on the YouTube channel, by the way. We're doing worker placement. Now, that could be interpreted in different ways, I feel. I've been saying top 20. We do a top 10. I keep saying top 20 because I made 20 and we're only doing the top 10. We have honorable mentions. Yeah.
Well, are we doing 10 each or 5 each?
Yeah, 10 each, 10 each.
Yeah, so there's 20, so ultimately comes to 20.
Yeah, true. I think there'll be some crossovers, I'm sure. Probably. I did not add Barcelona or Nova Roma because I made this list a while ago. I didn't update it. And Nova Roma would not be in there anyway because I don't own it, even though I do my best to try to get it. But as long as I don't own it, I'm not going to add it. Anyway, let's do it snake style. You can go first, and then me twice, and so on. Number 10.
Okay, so what I did was, because I don't want to do it as straightforward top 10, because then you might as well just look at the top 100, right? So I didn't take like my 100 favorite games and then take my top 10 worker placements in that order. So what I tried to do was, what I was looking at, especially with the lower numbers, I started to look at games that take the worker placement mechanic into new directions and new ways. Because it's a pretty straightforward mechanism. And so the first one I chose was Dune Imperium.
Yeah.
Which is a worker placement, but it's also a deck building game. So it has this interesting balance, and it just brought a new angle to the worker placement in which you don't just have to worry about the locations, which can block you off. You have, what I like about the game is also there's different it's the cards that allow you to go to those locations, and also then certain locations are more difficult to get to because the cards that allow you to go to those locations are more rare. You know, the ones on the right, on the left hand side, which is the guild, the different factions locations. So I thought it was a very interesting way of doing worker placement, even though it's not the main mechanic. I really like it. What do you think of the game in that way?
Well, I have it, and I have some of the expansions. I'm not sure if I have all of them, but I still haven't played it. It's because I know from descriptions, I know I should like it. There should be no problem, but I still simply haven't gotten it to the table. Yeah. Because when I did get it coincided with a bunch of big games as well that I then did for the channel, so it kind of got lost.
It just got released on Steam now as well. Very good. It got a very good implementation on Steam.
Mm-hmm. And maybe I can learn it that way.
Yes.
But because if you look around, it's like in so many people's top 10.
Yes.
In their top hundreds. So.
Well, it's obviously it was this or In This Winter or Lost Ruins of Arnak.
Mm-hmm.
And I chose this one here because I think I do like this game more. But what I'm trying to say is I was trying to look at worker placements that they're trying to do something different, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. I just think it's interesting that they took this mechanic, stock standard, put a worker down in the space, but they now utilize the card mechanism to supplement.
Yeah.
I thought it was really a lot of fun.
Okay. Well, I guess I did it straightforward, old school, top 10, whatever I like the most is on the top. And I didn't even compare it to the top 100. I'm not sure if it's in the same spot. I think some would have been higher normally, but I don't know. But I think number 10 kind of also suits your list, might be on there or not. It's Gugong is number 10, because it is worker placement, and of course what makes it special is the card mechanic that you have to place a card that's higher of the location of the card that's there, and then you pick up the location that's the card of that location. You take that one in your hand, but the other one is there.
Yes.
And then depending on where you put it, you can do the action of the location and also a double action if it matches the location. So basically in Gugong, you're giving gifts to the emperor. So if your gift is more impressive, then you can actually do your action. If it's not, you can't go there. And then also the numbers on the cards also coincide with the die that you roll, the 2 dice that you roll that might give you extra points or whatever at the end of the round. It has the double worker that I really like that you can activate, and all the different tracks. And if you don't get up the main stairs in the middle, if you don't get to the top, you can't even win the game.
Another thing that's really good.
That was funny.
Well, I like the mechanic is that also, if someone puts a low number card down, automatically that space becomes more juicy to someone else.
Yeah.
So it also makes it also makes it's an interesting form of interaction. So I put a card in a certain location, someone else wants to get that card to, because when you play whatever card you put down, you take the one that was already there. So it's a very interesting dynamic that the in some ways, the worker spots is fluid. It keeps changing to everyone else's actions.
And for 2 reasons.
Sorry.
Yeah, for 2 reasons. Because, like I said, it becomes more juicy because it's cheaper. But also that number...
blocked. Might be too high.
Yes.
And he blocks someone else off. Yeah.
Exactly. And then that number might also be on the dice. And then you want that one too. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and also it also affects your next turn, because if you go to the spot and you get a low number, that means you have a weaker number going into the next round, because that's just those cards stay into your hand. It's just a very clever mechanism and also a very clever way of interaction. And again, it's a worker placement, but it's doing something different with it. I love that.
And playing this twice has a tremendous difference, because I remember the first time we played, I scored horrible, and the second time, I think my score was double from the first game. Because it really clicks. In the beginning, I just ignored the dice and everything because it's like, oh, whatever, but it had a huge impact and everything. So, so it is worker placement, but it's not your typical cliche one. And I thought it worked really well. So I was...
This was in my honorable mentions. It's almost made my list. It came very close.
Yeah. So that's number 10, yeah.
Yeah.
My number 9 you already mentioned.
Which one is it?
Endless Winter.
Of course. Okay.
Because I think what was special there, aside from the deck building, which is also nice, is the fact that you put down a worker, but you don't just do one action, you do an action tree, basically. I mean, it's just one line. It's not a tree, you can't branch out, but it's just like, I think you do have like 3, like the top one, and then the middle one. And I think the top one is always like, you can do as many times as you can, and then, or all of them. And then if you're first on that track, you also get the bonus at the end.
Bonus, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then also if you have your chieftain, there's an extra action or power that you have if you place that one down instead of the other ones. So I thought that was very, that makes the game different from all the other worker placements. And I do think, I said that in the top 100 as well, that it's sometimes a bit too easy to get everything done before the game ends. But I think they were going to address that or something. I think there was something on BGG to address that, or at least with the solo mode, to make sure that you make it a bit more challenging to get stuff done or whatever. But yeah, great production, original mechanic that way. And together with the deck building. And I also like, from the deck building, I like that you sometimes on purpose would pick up trash cards or cards that you don't like, just so you can discard them to have an extra turn or whatever. And
I think we can mention it now, because what makes deck building so a fun mechanic is the limitation of choices, or the tight decision spaces, right? Like you really want a certain spot or really want a certain action, but you can't for some reason. It's either someone's blocking you or there's something preventing you. And I think the deck building aspect plays nicely into that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because you pick up 5 cards, whatever the number of cards is, or whatever the game has, I can't remember, and that's your limitation.
Yeah.
So that's the tight decision space, and that's what we want. We want the tightness of decision making, and that's why. Sorry.
That's why I really like the fact that you can get cards that you don't even like, but they're still useful. And in many of them, they'll just clog your deck, but it's just like, oh, okay, if I do this, then I can. Basically, you discard a card to play a card. That's how it works. So you need to have preferably a bad card to play a good card.
So that's what happens. Like, for example, also, especially in Dune Imperium, you might pick up cards that you really like, and then you realize on a turn you really need to go to a certain spot, but you don't have the cards to go there.
Okay.
And you kind of limit it. I can't remember if that's prevalent in this winter, but definitely in Dune Imperium it is.
Yeah.
So
okay. Cool.
Okay. My number 9, I went for a more traditional worker placement here. But the main reason I thought why it's interesting and deserves to be here is simply because of the merit trashy element to it. And that's Champions of Midgard. It's just a fun worker placement game. And it doesn't feel like a Euro only. It doesn't feel like a Euro, because that's what it is. Technically, it's a Euro game. You put your workers down, you block people from going to certain spots, you gather in resources to do something later, to fulfill a contract.
And I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second. I have it on my 8, so it's a crossover. So let's talk about it now. And when I reach my 8, I'll do an honourable mention. Okay?
Okay.
So,
but let's talk about
continue.
Yeah,
the contract.
It's ultimately that's what the monsters are. It's a contract, even though you've got the luck element of the dice. But you need the resources in order to go there and things like that. But it doesn't feel like a dry Euro. No. So that's what I say. It's a mixture of a Euro with a merit trash. Even though the dice, you have to be really bad. You have to be really bad if you lose because of the dice.
Yes, of course, yeah.
Which there's ways to mitigate it, especially with expansions even more so. But the dice you should not lose because of the dice. If you lose because of the dice, you play badly. Right?
That means that you did like a huge gamble,
Exactly, and that was your choice. Mm-hmm. Right? But if you gather resources, well, like any other Euro game, you should be fine with the battle, right?
Yeah.
But why I think it's a great worker placement game, because it doesn't feel like a dry Euro game.
Yes, exactly.
Even though I love Gugong, it's still technically just a Euro game.
Mm-hmm.
But this feels
true,
different. Yeah, this feels different.
With this one, I think this is the one that you introduced to me, by the way.
Yes. Most of your good games I did.
Yes. Because I remember picking it up later, even with the to make it prettier, the resources and everything. But I do also feel if it's just a base game, it's just okay. But then the expansion with the Valhalla, so even if you roll really badly in a fight, they die, but then their souls are still useful in these other cards. That you're
So now you maybe take more chances.
Yes, or you're really trying to attack to lose, so you can fill those cards.
Well, it's like a backup. Now you can say I can go take more risks. I don't care so much because I want to die.
Yeah,
it's just a cool game. It's just again the reason why I chose it was looking at the games. It takes a Euro game and tries to do something different with it.
And it is what you said. It's also quite tight. Like sometimes it really feels like, oh crap, you went there, and now I don't have this. And should I really try to attack still? Or not, and then so on.
Because now I don't have enough food. Should I take the risk when you go into the ocean, that kind of thing? No, it's a really cool Euro.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Like yeah, so 8.
Yeah.
So what's your honourable mention for 8 then?
Yeah.
So did you do number 9? Did you do number 9?
Yeah. So you have to do. I did Google and then Alice Minter and then you did.
Of course, I did 9. Okay, now we do number 8.
Yes, you do number 8 now. You're number 8.
No, 8. Okay. Yeah. So also looking at worker placements and trying to do something different. Mm-hmm. And I also chose, so the other one was more like Ameritrashy. Mm-hmm. This one here is basically taking a worker placement and mixing it with dudes on a map. And that's Godfather.
Yeah.
Godfather.
There's another honourable mention coming. That's another crossover.
No, but that's what it is. It's basically a worker placement, but also an area control game.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
It area control dudes in a map game. And again, it's taken the worker placement aspect. You go spots, you get the resources, you get the cards. But at the same time, the interaction is awesome because you're doing area control, and at the same time, you play cards to fight each other.
Yeah,
so interaction.
And the most awesome part is you have one location where if you're there, I think you're like next to 4 or 5 other people, so like the biggest area. Spot, Yes. And then when you play like as a car bomb or whatever, and everyone dies except for you, it's sort of like they're all gone, and people at the table are like, "What?" And then they all all the workers are put in the river, right?
It's just a great game. Yeah. As I said, it's just taking the stock standard worker placement and doing something more with it. And
in this case, it really adds to the theme as well. It's worker placement, but you actually have your goons you're sending out to do stuff, and it makes sense. It's not just like I'm going to put my guy here. No, my guy is there. He's robbing someone.
And the area control makes sense too.
Yeah, exactly.
And then there's certain worker spots only work with certain workers. You got the 2 types, the grunts and the bosses. It just works. It just works well. As I said, the reason why I like it is because it takes the worker placement and does something more with it.
Yeah, for me it's also on my list, but it's higher. But I'll let you know when we get there.
Great. Okay, cool.
So now it's my honourable mention, right? Actually, I'm gonna choose something that at this point is super cheap. It's 90 Hong Kong dollars on Amazon. It's like nothing. I almost bought it multiple times to give as gifts, but I didn't do it. But it's called Trial of the Temples. Have you ever played that?
You
Trial
might have
of the Temples.
I can't remember. You might have introduced it to me, but I can't remember.
It is the very first video on the channel. The very, very, very first video. Not even an unboxing. It's just a how to play and a review and everything. What is cool about it is it's a worker placement, but only minute, because you only basically put down 1 worker. That's it.
Okay.
So what happens is you have like a day and night cycle. It's like a bunch of cards in a circle, right? Mm-hmm. And each card gives you resources either during the day or during the night. And then there's like one card that kind of cuts. That has is like a wall between it, right? So when you place your guy in down, right, on the circle, then wherever you have the most empty cards on your side, left or right, those are the resources you're going to get.
Okay.
So if you're the first guy, you put it down, then it's like, wow, so much choice. But then you don't get it yet, because then the second player places their person. And if they place that person next to you, suddenly, oh, wait, you're cutting off the whole side next to me. Now I only have the left side left. And if the third person then places theirs, then they might block someone else again. So basically in this game, you don't really want to be first, because it's very easy for people to cut off your resources. But if you're like last, you can see, okay, where can I maneuver my guy to get... That is basically the special thing about the game, because then you have your resources and then you go up some tracks, you can activate some powers on your board and so on. But it's always the thing like, where am I going to put my guy? Like you don't want to be greedy, because then everyone's going to block you, you know. But you're trying to, okay, I need these crystals, and it's actually a really good game. Has a low footprint, I would say. But yeah, because it's on Amazon now for like $90 Hong Kong, down from 358.
That's very cheap. Wow.
Yeah, it is, and I've played it with many people, and they always like it, because it's very brain burnery just during that phase of trying to get your stuff, and then depending on how high you go tracks, you score points. And I know it's worker placement, because it's just one worker, but it is a hugely important part of the game. And that was actually in my top 20. It was number 20, so it was very low, but I still like it. Yeah.
Does it have a solo mode?
No, it's from way back when there was no solo.
Okay.
Because I guess you could easily create one if you give each card a number, and then you just roll a die and say, okay, this person goes there, whatever. But I don't know. But yeah, it's a quick game, and shiny crystals, you know. But it's cheap. If people are interested, you should check it out. Yeah, okay, that's me again, right? Sorry, I forgot.
Yes.
So my number 7 is you. I'm pretty sure you own it as well. I think I played it at yours and then bought it. Oh, another example is the Gallerist.
Yeah. Very good.
And aside from the amazing theme, the fact that you're, supporting artists and then buying their paintings, propping them up as much as possible, and then selling the paintings again for profit. You have, I wouldn't say it's a rondel, but you have like these spots in the middle, and you jump from one spot to the next, but it's according to lines, is it, that you only have certain options or whatever, I'm not mistaken. And then if you do, you can leave an assistant behind. So if someone goes there, you get to do the action again on your previous spot, which is annoying if someone always does that and you keep following them. And that's the point what makes it special, I feel. The fact that you can leave assistants and then do the action again. And every spot where you go, you have an option of 2 actions to do. So you can't do them both. You have to do one of the 2. And also the quality, the fact that you get the tickets, because there's area control with the people who come to visit the visitors who trying to get to your gallery or pulling away from other people's gallery and stuff like that. Yeah, and the solo mode is really good too. Yeah,
I forgot how good this game was. It is a really good game.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's actually in its heart actually a pure worker placement.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of his best ones. Yeah.
It's I bought it in Taiwan, and I had forgotten how big the box was. I was like, oh, I'm gonna buy it anyway. But yeah, bringing that back home was also a challenge, I have to say. But yeah,
that's worth it.
Okay, that was my number 7. Yeah, Gallerist.
For me, my number 7 is a game I really love. It's an old game. It's called Lancaster.
Oh, okay.
Lancaster, and the theme is this. You're going on this English campaign to go attack France. But what's interesting is the core mechanic for the worker placement that, for such an old game, it still holds up very well. Is the idea that you have certain knights that have certain numerical value. Mm-hmm. So you put your knight on a spot, but someone can kick you out if they place a worker that's higher value there.
That's
And
cool.
you get the worker back, and you can then replace them somewhere else. So it's that tension of where you place the worker. Plus, you can also use what they call them, servants. I can't remember their name now. In which
Serfs?
that you serfs, something like that. You know, the ones that I can't remember now. But they're the ones that you can use it to boost your workers' number.
Mm-hmm.
So even though squires, that's it, squires.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So even though there's no such thing as a 7, but if you put 2 squires with your 5, he becomes a 7 and you can push out the 4. Or whatever, push out the 5, a 6 or something like that, something effect.
So if I understand correctly, if you put a person there, you don't immediately get the reward. Somebody can still kick you out, and at the end,
when everyone's placed already, then you get your rewards. So you're never secure about where you are.
Yeah,
understand?
that's cool.
Until you finished. So sometimes you might spend squires to get a spot, but then someone will spend more squires to kick your guy out. Because what happens is your squires are behind a screen, so no one knows how many you have.
Yeah.
So that's what, there's lots of other mechanics in the game I love. But the pure worker placement idea that's so good is the idea that someone can kick you out of your
And
spot.
you can't kick yourself out, right?
No. So once you get kicked out, you then have to readjust your plans and go somewhere else.
Yeah, okay.
So like maybe you say, okay, I really want that spot, so I'm going to go straight there with my big number. But then you can't use a big number later for another spot to kick someone out. Or maybe you think, okay, I'll use a big number, someone's going to kick me out, and I get to use them somewhere else, but no one kicks you out. So your guy's stuck there, right? So it's just a very clever way of doing, again, interaction. So it's a straightforward worker placement mechanic, but there's interaction going on.
Makes me think a little bit about Rurik, the mechanic there, but it's just but you don't get it back.
That's for the bidding.
Yeah.
And that's for bidding table, but this is for worker spots.
Yeah.
And again, for such a cool game, what year was the game I was looking at now? The game was 2011. That's almost 14 years old, 13 years old.
Oh, it's ancient.
well, in this hobby, it's like one of the early ones, right?
Is the cover like a guy on a horse?
Yes.
It's all so I know what the cover.
It's just one of the was it Henry V? Yeah, it's for Henry V.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind trying it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a really good game. I have it. It's in storage, but I can pull it out because I would like to play it again. No, actually, no. I think I've got it here. Not in storage, but it's one of my favorite games. It's one of my go-to games. And there's other mechanics we can talk about, but here we're just talking about the worker placement mechanic, and that's what's key is the bumping.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Number 6.
Me. Okay. Yes. So again, still going with trying something different with the worker placement. I went for the Travels of Marco Polo, because here's a worker placement using dice.
Yes. Yeah.
So you roll your dice, and again, whatever you roll, that's the tension. That's the decision point. I was thinking about Kingsburg, but I didn't go with Kingsburg. I went for this one more. I went for this one instead. Yeah. Because Kingsburg also is technically a worker placement using dice, and Kingsburg is a classic, right? But I went for this one because this felt more like a worker placement because it's different spots you want to put your workers on, right? But the dice, the roll of the dice forces you, again, tight decision space. That's what we want. Again, for me, a good worker placement is where there's tension in your just choices. Do I go there now or do I go later? Do I take a chance? Do I go there now or do I wait? Am I greedy? Go to the place and then someone blocks you, and then that's a problem. But here the dice, there's no luck, but the dice force you to make certain choices. They limit your options. And that's just a brilliant mechanic. It's just a brilliant idea.
Well, it depends on your power. Sometimes it might not be that important.
Yeah, okay, of course. And that's another thing with the powers. Yeah, that makes it for fun. But for me, most except for the one, the one guy, there's one power that you don't even roll the dice, just place your cards wherever you want. But I think it's just a really cool decision space with the dice for worker placement.
Number 6, also typical worker placement, except this time they're in mechs. Yes. It's Anachrony is at number 6. So I think that what I like worker placement wise is different with Anachrony is that you have your workers and then you put them inside a mech and then you put them on certain locations and then you do the action. Of course, you could just all replace it with a cube, the colored cube or whatever, but it just adds to the theme a lot. It just makes it look so cool. So yeah, that's why I really enjoy doing that, because each faction as well has like all these different powers. So you use your mechs in different ways as well, which is also important. And the fact that your workers, you need to give them water to like wake them up and everything. But if you decide not to, you can just kick them awake, but then your basically your approval rating goes down and you lose points at the end of the game, but you can use them anyway if you make them all stressed out whatever, or you can give them more rations so they're even happier and you get more points, but then you might not be able to use them as many times. I think that's just cool that you can also keep recruiting them, and then the whole they have to rest mechanic, I like that too. And of course the production is really nice. And the game is really good in other areas as well, but purely worker placement. Yeah, and you also have, of course, the same, like you just mentioned, should I go there first? Because if I go there first and this, if I use the correct characters, I might get bonuses and so on. Yes. So, yeah, it's huge, especially with the resources, it's huge. If you need to be at certain positions first and everything. One thing though in the game, I very rarely see people go to science, where you roll the dice and then use the icons that you need for certain projects or whatever. I very rarely see people go there. It's like the last track. That's I think the least popular track. Even though you do need it to do like the projects and everything. But I think if the first spot you go there, you have it automatically or something, or you can choose. But then as you go down, it's less appealing or something like that. I'm messing up a little bit here, but I just know that's a lot less popular, which makes it.
I haven't played for the game for a while, but I do remember that.
Yeah, but aside from that, yeah, I think it's really nice the whole mechanic that how they use it there. Yeah. I don't think I need to speak much more on that. For number 5, I had The Godfather, so I will mention something else for worker placement. And that one, I think, is it behind me? I'm just looking. It is behind me. It's Kero. Give me a second. Kero. Also really cheap on Amazon. I don't get any bonuses, by the way, but it's this one. It's short for it's short for kerosene, basically. And the cool part is that it's a 2-player game, no solo. Okay. Maybe there is now. I haven't checked BGG, I have to be honest. But the cool part is here, you're supposed to store the game in a certain way that the trucks, because they come with the game comes with 2 big trucks. I'll show you this, and it's also a sand timer.
Okay.
So the truck is a sand timer. So if you store it correctly and upwards, then the sand timer is ready to go when you play. So basically, imagine Borderlands, right? And you're trying to get the sand timer. Basically, is the gasoline, so the kerosene you have. So when you're trying to get resources, you roll dice, and you do that by activating your truck. You flip it over, so you're spending gasoline while you're driving around, getting resources and other stuff, and rolling dice as much as possible, trying to avoid flames because that might make you bust. And then after that, and at one point when you have enough, you say stop, because you don't want to run out of gasoline, because that's bad. And then you do the actions. So then you send out your workers to do things depending on the icons that you rolled and everything. And they're this really cool. Well, they're just the stickers basically on these wooden tokens, but they're all guys. They look like they walked straight out of Borderlands, basically the video game. And then you put them on certain locations, and the locations do different things. There's also some area majority cards that you have and everything, where you can get bonuses. There's powers that you can get. But it just really works really well. It's cool. It's original with everything else. The worker placement part, of course, is pretty basic because you put your guys out there. But yeah, the whole cars thing is really cool. The trucks and everything, and the hypeness of like, I need to roll as quickly as possible, get the stuff. Okay, stop, because the other person who controls your car, of course, who will then flip it over when you finish. And so this was an honorable mention. It was number 15 because it is worker placement. It has that part with it, but the fun part is mostly the rolling and the trucks, basically. But I just want to mention it. It's also on the discount. But this is really a lot of fun if you play with 2 players, and it's not long either. And yeah, so it's just Borderlands the game. You have Radlands as well, but
I've been intrigued by it. But what put me off was the 2-player limit.
Yeah. Well, it's only 30 minutes. I'll bring it on Friday.
Okay.
Give it a shot. Okay, so that was my honorable mention for number 5, was it? So now you're number 5.
Yes. My number 5, okay, becoming at my next 5 games are just straightforward worker placements, my favorite worker placements. But the number 5, I went with one of the most pure and simple worker placements, and that's viticulture. It's just a straightforward. Well, maybe you can argue the element of gathering planting the grapes and then harvesting them and maturing them and then turning to wine can be a little complicated for some people. But just as a straightforward, the game is just a straightforward worker placement game.
Yeah, it's true.
You have your spots. You go to it. Yeah, you have the cards. You get the powers. You got to sell the wine. But ultimately, everything comes down to a spot, and you're fighting for that spot. And you got to, and the fact that there's different seasons, so you got to, your workers, you only got a set amount of workers, and you decide when you're going to use them. If you use them all in this season, then you have nothing left for later. So there's that tension of, should I use a worker now, get what I really want now, but hold it back for another spot. But if I hold it back and then someone blocks me and I wasted those workers, it's just, again, clever decision spacing. But it's a very simple, pure game. Yeah,
and then with Tuscany, you have the map as well that adds a bunch of stuff to it.
That's what I'm saying. The map becomes bigger. Oh yeah, I mean the area control element at the bottom.
With the stars and everything. Yeah,
that's an extra thing. But I'm just saying, as a pure worker placement idea, there's the fact that there's 4 locations and you don't worry about each one. It's very clever.
Yeah.
But
for me, it was number 18. But just because you said it's just a straightforward worker placement, and I like the theme, gives you an excuse to drink wine as well while you're playing.
And there's a reason why it's become so popular, because of its simplicity in theme and mechanics.
Yeah, true.
No, it's just I think it deserves to be here for that.
Yeah, we also said in the top 100 that viticulture should be higher on my list, but I don't know. I like it, but for me, it's just okay. It's
but again, it's not the greatest game I've ever played, but it's one of those games that I just feel comfortable playing.
Yeah, and the theme works and everything. Yeah, it's very smooth.
Yeah, the theme works, but it's just a pure worker placement. Yeah. So, is it my number 4?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a crossover, but I was able to rectify it. I went for number 4. I went for a heavy Euro. So my options were the Lasodas, like Gallus or something like that. But also I went for Mind Clash. So initially I had Anachrony here, but I can easily put Trickery on here too. Yeah. Which again, I love both games. I love Mind Clash games, and why? It's just a real crunchy Euro. So here it's not that you're worried about being blocked by people. It's just the heaviness of the mechanics, the heaviness of the game that you got to process and think through. And I really like that. It's very simple. You got a couple of choices. You place your worker there. You get the resources. But that's not where it ends. There's so much going on in the games, in both Anachrony and in Trickerio. Have you played Trickerio?
Yeah. Well, I have it because I got it on a sale on Amazon.
Never played it.
Really not sponsored by Amazon, but I got it on a sale and it was here. And sometimes friends came over and said like, "Oh yeah, it looks really cool," and I open it and show it, and then now it's in storage. I've never played it because it's not a game that you just say like, "Oh, let's play it now." You need to study it beforehand, right? To get an idea.
It comes in a beautiful box. Have you got the
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'll host it. I'll play it sometime. When you come over, we can play it.
Yeah.
It's
help me get over the hurdle.
Yeah. No, it's a game. It's crunchy. There's a lot of thinking going on. It's a heavy game. But again, it just comes down to pure mechanics. Put your worker there, get the resources you need to do your tricks. So again, it's in some ways it's a pure worker placement. It's just the decisions are tight and heavy. So I really like it.
It's the game that I hope will be what what's the other game again? What's it called? The Specialist? No, not The Specialist. It's another game about the traveling circus. It's a traveling circus. It's like a very black. It's not The Specialist, is it?
The Magnificent or Magnificent? Or
the Magnificent, yeah, The Magnificent, yes. Yeah. Because I got that and I was so disappointed. I really didn't like it. I got sold it again. Because I thought it would be more interesting, but for me personally it wasn't. But anyway, we're not gonna go down that road. My number 4. My number 4, I saw the Kickstarter and I thought, really, they're really going too far with all the kiddie toys now. And then I saw it on Instagram and then I was like, wait a minute, this actually looks really cool because the monsters make sound. Dwellings of Eldervale. Yeah. So worker placement style, it's also very basic. But the biggest difference, of course, is that your workers actually turn into houses and then dwellings, and then you can no longer use them. And depending on the faction, your workers might actually have specific powers. You can summon your more powerful workers as well that will, help you in many different ways. Of course, you have the dice combat, which is kind of like love it or hate it or whatever, don't care. But there's the whole idea that a single worker can defeat a monster, which maybe not sounds very logical, but it can happen there, and you just need to know that before you go in. Yeah. Otherwise, it might get frustrating. But the whole thing, I just like it. And even people who aren't used to playing board games, when they see the fact that your workers turn into dwellings, they're like, "Oh, it's so cute." Always. And they just like the whole power thing, right?
Plus, the monsters make noise.
Yeah. There's just that adds to it. It's stupid, but it really adds to it. It's fun. Although some of mine are starting to fail, though. Like the two options, only one works. Maybe there's the battery. We have to change the battery. But then, for example, with the dwarves of blah 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 Forge, whatever, if you manage to get all your workers out and nobody kicks them in the underworld, you get a gold coin, for example. And that's already a huge different thing. This plays different completely than other people because you will adjust your style because of that. And so I like all that together. Basically, it didn't reinvent the wheel or whatever, but I like the whole game I like the whole game in general, and then I like the twist that it did on that for sure. Yeah,
that's good. Cool.
I think my number 3 might be in your top 3 too, because you said it's your favorite worker placement games, and you talked about it last time when it was Shadows in Kyoto, and it was like, oh, that was number 3. Oh, we could have played it. And it's Yidu.
Yeah.
Yidu is number 3. We've talked about it several times already in different lists and moments and everything. The theme is just awesome. You have the bidding mechanic and everything, you have the quests, and the fact that you put your people out, but then they might get caught if somebody turns the direction of the guard or whatever that goes around. So should I go there? Should I not? Someone burns the freaking church, then you can't go there anymore. Stuff like that. Sorry.
Yes.
Some locations are limited again. There might be a certain weapon that you need, and somebody just went there and took it, and you're like, oh my god. So things like that. The geishas, they're limited. So if you don't go there fast enough, once again, And the whole game is just so pretty if you have all the mats and all the bells and whistles. It's just chef's kiss, honestly.
Yeah, I'll talk about it later because it's a little higher on my list.
Yeah, and there was one more thing. Also, Yido used to be lower on my lists because of the whole shenanigans about we're doing their second reprint, and people who have the first reprint will give you print and play files. You can just print it off and put it in your cards. People were so very annoyed. But then the designer contacted me when I talked about it in our top 100, and he said, "Oh, it's just a publisher problems, and we're so sorry about it. But just give me your address, and I'll send you something." And then he sent me like the cards. I was like, "Oh, cool."
Oh,
So
I need those cards
very
too.
nice.
Yeah.
So it was very nice to do because I think it was something like if you had registered at a certain point, you got the cards for free. But if you hadn't, then only the PNP was an option.
I think I did do that.
So, but I like as I said multiple times before, I don't check Kickstarter mails. I just back and then. But it's bitten me in the butt multiple times. But yeah, Yido, that's my number 3. Up onto your number 3.
My number 3 is one of my favorite games of all time. It's again worker placement, but it has one of the most cleverest gimmicks of all time, which makes your placements very interesting, and that's Tzolk'in, the Mayan calendar.
Oh,
And
I thought you were going to say something else, but okay.
No, but Tzolk'in just maybe, but Tzolk'in is just 2 options. You put a worker down, pull a worker off. That's all it is. But the decision space is so good. It's the waiting for the wheel. It's the gimmick that works so well. Gimmicks are gimmicks, but this one, the game needs it. Because you can see time pass and you can see your workers. So basically, you're also investing in future worker spots. That's not what you're doing. You put a worker down and you're waiting for later on that worker spots can be more interesting. So you wait.
Because it can be very frustrating if you miscalculate and you realize I need to have one more turn on the wheel to get that thing, but I ran out of workers and I don't want to take off any of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or you really need the food. You need the food now, or you need the resources really right now. So do you pull your worker off and get less, or you wait one more turn to get more? No, as a worker placement, this game it's just so clever because again, the gimmick expands the worker placement mechanic, and that's why I think it's deserved on this list.
Definitely, I agree, 100%.
Yeah. Cool. So
your number 2?
Number 2, my favorite game, one of my favorite games of all time, and here it's just because of theme. It's just when I play it, I love the theme. I feel at home there, and that's Village. Placing the worker down, and the workers pick up these cubes, right? And also your workers become. The workers actually feel part of the story of the game. It's just one of those. It's just I don't know. It just gives me. It's just a comforting feeling. This game, I just love it, and it tells a story when you play it every time. And it just the workers when you place it, they've got age and they can die and they can move on, and you get new workers coming in, the new generation. It doesn't like reinvent the wheel. It's not like most of the other worker placements I mentioned have brought something interesting to the mechanic, right? Brought something new to the genre. But this one here is just.
I think the cubes do add some.
Yes, because you're trying to collect. You're collecting the cubes for certain things.
Yeah,
but
because every time you set up for the next round.
Yes, it makes certain spots more interesting, right? Or the death cubes, the plague cubes make certain spots less interesting. But that's not the reason why I love the game. I think it's just it comes down to integration of theme into this mechanic. I think it does it brilliantly.
Yeah, it's definitely very original the way they came up with it.
And the new version is horrible, so I refuse to buy it.
Still not over it.
No, I'm not. It's disappointing.
Okay.
So what's your number 2?
My number 2 is another Lacerda. Do you know which one?
Kanban?
No, I've never played that before, so sadly,
Okay.
I do want to though. It's on Mars.
On Mars. It's the second one, on Mars.
Yeah. Because what
On
I
Mars
like
is
about
great.
on Mars, yes, what I like about the whole worker placement mechanic there is that you actually have 2 locations where you
Yeah.
place and remove workers. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, I ran out of workers. I better go back to the other side because when I arrive, I get to remove
Yeah.
them again, and so on. I can launch a rocket, which gives me more workers, and so
Yes.
on. And yeah, the whole thing, and also once again, the trying to go to the juicy spots as quickly as possible because otherwise other people might go there first, and then the technology is gone or more expensive and stuff
Yes.
like that. Also, the fact that if somebody else researches something, you can use your worker to put it on their card and use their whatever skill they got or whatever
Yes.
for a price, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so all that kind of stuff is really cool, and then that makes it really stand out. And I just it's always really cool because sometimes your workers are locked and it can be really annoying. But then that's what you because if someone's already there, I think you have to assign more workers as well. To be able to do the action. So being somewhere first is huge. But yeah, just because that made me kind of Invasion, even though I have not Invasion. What is it? The new one, the one that you said that you just got recently, the new hotness with where you leave the planet and you go to a new planet.
Evacuation.
Evacuation, yeah, of course not Invasion, but Evacuation makes me think of on Mars the whole thing like, okay, Mars you're actually building up, but here you're breaking down and building up again. But I mean at Evacuation, but yeah, I think that was pretty original for on Mars anyway for the worker placement part of that.
No, I think it's
and it blew me
true.
away the first time I played it. Yeah.
Yeah, technically it's just a day-night phase, right? You can choose which phase you want to be working on. But it's so clever because you got to make tight decision spots. Do you want to stay here and keep taking spots here, or move on to the other side? And then you break the huge options. And it's all about timing when you do the flip. No, you're right. It's a good call.
Yeah.
It's a great game. So what's your number one?
My number 1, I'm surprised it's not on your list. Maybe it's an honourable mention. I'm not sure. But my number 1 is Underwater Cities.
It's honourable mention, yeah.
Because I just it's just so easy to get into it.
I love this game.
And the fact that you try to when you put out your submarines, you try to make sure that the card that goes along with it has the same color of the spot you're going so you can get both actions.
Yes.
And it's always eyeing people like, are they going to go there? Can I forgo it now and then go there next time? Oh, no, I can't. They went there. Okay, there goes that strategy. So, and then the fact that you,
No, go ahead. It's just, okay. So, and also it ties into one of my greatest weaknesses in games, being too greedy.
Yeah,
like I will refuse to take the option that I need to take because I've got to get hold of that bonus, that extra thing, and it just makes it takes my own weaknesses and makes me make tighter decisions because I want to utilize everything. No, you're right.
I also like the fact with the tableau building. It actually enhances some of the spots depending on which cards you're actually going for. So some spots that are normally not as attractive might become more attractive because of what you're doing there. And then the expansion also makes it really cool as well, adds a lot to it. So yeah, if you look at the top 10, it's not like this is the most original or whatever. But I think the fact that it's so easy to get it to the table, to play, it doesn't overstay its welcome. And what I like is, it has little to do with the worker placement, but the fact that you have those production phases where you just get all the resources and then you're rich for like one round and then you spent it all. So all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's just a whole package that I really, really enjoy. Yeah.
I love
So
the
I
game
wonder
too.
what your number one is.
Well, what is You-Do? I think it's You-Do,
Yeah.
and it's because I think more than any of the other worker placement games, You-Do is super tight. When you play a good worker placement, your mind has to be racked. Where am I going? Please don't go there. For God's sake, don't go there. Damn you, you went there. Kind of thing, right? It's a good worker placement must make you have a poker face. Like, you don't want that person to know you want to go there. And the key to making it so tight, there's very few good spots. That's what some people can argue. There's not enough good spots. Some spots are not good, but that also forces you to make makes the tension higher. But those missions are the key, and not just the missions, because then you could also just say Lords of Waterdeep. But what makes the missions so good is the bonus on the missions. So if you can do both,
greedy, yeah.
Yes, you become more greedy, right? So you have to perfectly lay out plan. I'm going to wait till next round. I'm going to have all my ducks in a row, and I'm going to play this card, and it's going to be beautiful. Make 1 million points, and then first round, Joachim takes the spot I want, and then my plans all fall apart.
Exactly.
Right? You got to readjust.
Yeah.
It's that tightness that makes the game so good. It makes it the best worker placement I've ever played. It's the best worker placement I've ever played because it just racks your brain. It's stressful. It's a stressful game, and that's what you want in a good worker placement.
It is.
You could argue that there's too many mechanics in You-Do. You have the events, you have the bidding, you have the guy marching around and arresting people. You could argue there's too much stuff going on, right? But when it comes down to worker placement, it's tense, and that's what you want. You want the tension, and very few games give you that tension. Because a lot of games, all the spots are actually kind of good. Yeah, okay. So yes, I want to go that spot because I need 2 apples now, right? But there's other spots that gives me tomatoes, and that's okay. It's fine. I'll go to tomatoes now. That's something else. But you need that damn spot. You need that spot.
Yeah.
And because you need resources and you need your workers to be in certain spots too for the contracts.
Because it's limited.
So, yes.
Everything is limited.
Exactly, and that
because I was going to say normally I don't like bidding, but here I think it fits as well because it just adds to the tension more.
True, but yeah.
Because the thing is, because in You-Do you can also trade, right?
Yes, there's one of the weakest spots again.
Yes, so but that also adds to the fact like you're normally never going to trade unless you really need to. So then it always puts you in a weak position or whatever. So so you try to avoid the trade as much as possible. But it's all part of it, especially because of once again,
I hate trade. I hate trading games because I think it's king making. It can end up being king making.
Yeah. There's potential there. Yeah. Depending on when you do it. Yeah.
Or someone's a weak player. But yeah, it's just I think it's the best worker placement ever made for me because of the tension. For the tension it creates.
I think the only downside that I could say about the game is that it is a table hog. So if you play with all the mats and then you play with a full complement of players, then you need to have a big table.
And you can argue it can be too harsh because of the events and the powers, and you can also argue that it takes too long.
But then those missions, like you have their destiny. You have it under control a little bit because you control your destiny a little bit because you can decide how difficult you make it for yourself. And I always go for the really difficult ones. So kill the Shogun. Here we go.
And not just the difficult ones. You also want it to be with the bonus. Like at least I do. I want the bonus. I'm greedy. I want that.
Yeah, of course. So you hit the ground running basically.
Yeah. So for me, it's clearly number one for pure work placement.
Yeah.
Okay. So honourable mentions.
Did you have any? Do you have anything else you want to mention?
I got the one that started all, Pillars of the Earth.
I was thinking about that while we were talking. Yeah.
Yeah, Pillars of the Earth is a fantastic game, and pulling the workers at the bag and choosing it, and it's also pretty tight, that game. The money and everything, resources. It's again one of the first ever, so I think it's really good. I think it's one of the best ones too.
And then also just the fact the resource cards that says how many workers you need, and you're like, oh crap, that's a 9, but I only have 7 left, so I can't take that card and stuff like that. So yeah, that also adds.
It's very clever, and every spot's almost worthwhile. You want it on the board. So do you want to do Snake for honorable mentions, or?
Well, I think I might have like a couple of let's just do 1-1-1-1-1. So I have Merchant's Cove because it adds all the worker placements in many different genres, smashes it all together. So in some cases it's a bit different than others. Yeah,
I didn't know.
The expansion's coming for that too. So
I didn't know you had it. It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I made videos about it too.
Okay,
but yeah, I really like it. Yeah.
Mine, another one I mentioned was Yokohama, which is coming up with a reprint. And what I like about that is it's almost like a just the Moncala kind of thing. You make a route with your workers, and you place workers down, and then later on, so you place 2 or 3 workers down at a time, and your big guy makes a spot. You go to the big guy and you do the action, and the action is depending how many workers you have there. So it's just a very clever way of. Have you played the game before?
No.
We should play it.
I think it looks very. It looks very intimidating because there's so many spots. Intimidating,
but it's not as bad as you think. I think you'll like it. It's a great game. So yeah, we should get around to play that actually.
Sure. I'm always up for it.
What's your next one?
Another honorable mention is one that we should play as well, but we need to play with 4, less than 4. Like solo mode also, not really. Solo is too difficult because the AI cheats. But it's so much fun. It's Ameritrash as well, but also with worker placement, and that's Dojo Kun. And so basically you do the tournaments. The worker placement phase is basically you train your guys, you hire new guys, you send them out on missions, and you basically beef them up, and then you enter the tournament with everybody else. And then basically you can also gamble who's going to win. It's like, stuff like that. And you have all these dice that you roll for blocking and punching and kicking and whatever, all those kind of things. And then that's over, another couple of rounds of worker placements, and then you fight again. It's just really fun because when you have the tournament, everyone's going to have 2 fighters in the tournament. Yeah. So if you're really unlucky, they might even have to fight each other. Just silly. But, they might be on 2 separate sides of the bracket, so they might, go as far as possible. And there's just pure beer and pretzels fun with worker placement on top of it. And it sounds very light, but the worker placement is important because there are also there's spots on your board. Of course, no one can touch that, but on the main board there are some spots you want to try to go there first, or once again, if I don't go there first, I might get screwed over. But there's also spots that you can buy to put on your own board, so then they're like protected and for yours, and basically you're expanding your gym, right? So buying new equipment and stuff like that. So yeah, and also that is always on discount. It's from Simon, by the way, Dojo-kun. So really good production, and it's always on discount. I don't know why. This game should be a staple, I feel, because it's so much fun. Trash talking as well. Yeah.
I've been tempted about it. I don't want to pull the trigger. I should look into it. My next one is
because it looks so light. I don't know.
And maybe the cover. I've never put up by the cover. Person jumping and kicking, right?
Yeah.
Okay. My other one is actually one of my favorite games of all time, and I didn't put it in because I don't think the worker placement is as strong, and that's Everdell. It's Everdell.
Yeah.
You have workers and you use them, but they don't feel like they're a major part of the game because it feels more like a tableau builder.
Yeah,
but maybe
it's true.
But maybe it is more than it is because you do get more workers as the game goes on. I don't know. It didn't feel as strong. I don't know how you feel about it. And I know you're lukewarm on the game.
But it just helps you get to the meaty part of the game,
exactly,
right?
Which is the tableau building. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, most of the
Just
resources
gets
you
you
make
there.
comes from most of the resources you make come from your cards that you played.
Yeah.
So it didn't feel like
Yeah,
a pure
exactly.
worker placement that way. So that's why I didn't put it. Even though it's one of my favorite games of all time, I didn't put it there.
Because I had to laugh earlier when you were saying like 2 apples, 2 this. I really had to think of Far Shore.
Oh, sure, yeah. Yeah, wasn't it? So what's your next one?
One. I think this
one more.
the last one.
Me
I
too.
think the last one I want to mention is Jinja. So Jinja. So that one was a surprise for me, but I like it because it's also pure worker placement, but it's very tight. There are some locations that are very good, so you want to go there always because the other ones immediately get quite a bit more expensive. But so it always matters a lot where you go. But then you're also trying to build these buildings that you put on, and you have these scoring cards that nobody knows what you're going for. But those locations to build where you build, you either build there or you get resources, if I'm not mistaken. But it's constantly thinking like, I hope no one's going to build there because it's going to screw up, and you really need to be super efficient because it'll set you back immediately if you can't do something. And you can actually say like, okay, I'm going to throw a card and do some special stuff, but that's really bad because you want to use your cards to the maximum. It doesn't look like it. If you look at the board, it doesn't look like it's like cutthroat or really tight, but it really is. So yeah, that's why it's an honorable mention. It was only number 17, but yeah, it's because I have a friend over this week who wants to play as much as possible, and I actually thought about taking it out of storage to play. So yeah,
that's cool.
What's your last one?
My last one's The Great Wall.
Yeah.
Have you played it?
No.
We should play that too.
It seemed like a lot of boxes.
I got down to 2. I think I got down to 2. It's a lot of bloat. It's a big game, but it's a cool game. It's a cool worker placement game. It works. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of got that what they call it, semi-co-op thing going where you're trying to protect the wall. So you're putting workers, you're getting resources, you're using them to get more workers, you're getting them to get advisors that give you powers, and you're doing it to build a wall. So it's quite thematic. It's big, it's convoluted, but in a good way. It's a cool game. So that's why I think it's but yeah.
It looks very impressive,
and it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But now that we finished, none of us mentioned like the daddy of them all, which was Lords of Waterdeep.
It's because I don't own it anymore.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, because for me it's difficult to put games on there that I don't own anymore because if you don't own them, they slowly fade away anyway. And if I had put it on, it wouldn't have reached the top 10.
Yeah, me neither, but it's interesting that we didn't mention it. I still got it.
I play the app these days. That's what I do sometimes.
The one thing I'll give Lords of Waterdeep, it's incredibly smooth. It's even smoother than Viticulture. Because actually when I put the list together, I was thinking Viticulture or Lords of Waterdeep. Lords of Waterdeep is incredibly smooth.
Yeah.
You put a worker down, you get these resources. You put this down, you get this. It's just clean. It's a very clean game. And that could also be its problem because it's too clean, it becomes boring. If you play too much, it becomes a bit samey. But for what it is, it's just a pure, clean worker placement, which I think it should be mentioned for that.
But it should also be played with both expansions.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. The 40-point cards, the corruption makes it all a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
And I also like the fact that the game has intrigue cards and so on.
Exactly.
Because I think many games have copied that. Like, everybody gets something. I take from someone else. Stuff like that.
And the buildings making new worker spots that changes the game every time.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool.
And you use it. It's a clever mechanic. It's brilliant. That's why it's copied so many times.
Something I haven't seen in many other games is those mandatory quests, where that you
Yes.
have to do them before you can continue with your regular stuff.
But everyone hates it. That's why it's never been used again.
Yeah, I know, but it's a way to because I always tell people when you play Lords of Waterdeep, this is the game where you want to be continuously second or even third, and at the end
Jeez.
jump everyone.
Those cards
Because if you're number
brutal.
one, the mandatories are coming your way. If you're number one, it's a given.
Those cards are brutal. Absolutely brutal.
You know what? You know what's funny?
Yeah.
In the first round, you go to intrigue, you get a mandatory, and you really give it to someone. Just the look on their face is like, what?
Yeah.
But it doesn't make it popular though.
Yeah. Some people say they should play them without them.
Yeah, of course, yeah, true.
Because
But then you have the.
it's kind of forced interaction, so I don't know. I can see why you want
But it's
to
just an easy way to stop the runaway leader problem, right? Like if you take
unless,
that away, how are you going to stop anyone?
But the argument always I say about that is, why don't the runaway leader gets the cards and gives it to the second place player? He becomes more runaway.
Yeah, but then there should be a table meta. Is like we're going to give all of
Yeah, no. But you know what I mean.
Table should react to that. Yeah, of course. If it could be like right? You make sure your last couple of cards are all pluses, boom, and you're done. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's, as I said, it's a pure clean game.
Yeah, for sure. It's a nice one to finish with.
Yeah.
A classic. Oh, I do have one question. Have you ever played Stone Age?
Stone Age, yeah.
Because those two are always mentioned in the same breath, Lords of Waterdeep and Stone Age.
Stone Age, it's coming on Steam now. A new version's coming on Steam on iOS. I haven't played it for many years. I don't own it anymore. But
yeah.
that's another clean game. It's very straightforward. It's family weight, but it's a family plus, right? So you still got to plan ahead. You've got contracts. You got to roll dice to get resources.
Mm-hmm.
Like at certain locations, you put so many workers there. So whatever work you put, amount of workers there, you roll the dice, and that's times that much, or something like that, or you divide it. But it is a good game. It is a good game for what it is. I think we've passed it. I think the two of us have passed that level of game.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm gonna go play Ticket to Ride now.
Well, I'm getting the legacy version, so I am going to stop playing it. Maybe we can stop playing it together.
Yeah. But it's a good game. It's a good game. I don't want to throw any shade on Ticket to Ride. It's just a joke.
But the Ticket to Ride Legacy, we should be playing that. We might be playing that.
I thought it was really cool because I saw it comes with an actual card cutter and you're supposed to cut the cards and everything. That's really awesome. That's really cool that they did that.
It's really cool.
Okay, but I think we can stop there.
Okay, cool.
I'm not going to say what we're going to talk about next because we don't know. We'll see when the next one is going to drop. But I imagine probably Kickstarter or something else. All right. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening. And
cheers, everyone.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.